everyone, and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026, and this is episode 327. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it is hot and sunny this afternoon. No complaints here, but I do have a fan on overhead, and I'm hoping that's going to keep me cool while we sit and chat for the next little while. I did have the window open, but I could hear the neighbors talking next door, so I thought I would close the window and keep out all unnecessary noise. How is everyone doing? It has been a while. I hadn't really meant to go 3 weeks without recording, but there's been lots of comings and goings and ups and downs. So it's really the first good chance I've had to sit down and chat with you. One advantage to doing a bit of traveling is that it has given me time for some travel knitting, which is always a bonus in my book. And as a result, I do have a couple of finished projects, a couple of new cast-ons, a work in progress, lots of spinning. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, why don't you go grab a cup of tea or anything else you'd like to drink and a project and sit down and keep me company for the next, 45 minutes or so. You will notice I am in the corner of the craft room today, and the primary reason for that is my craft room is a bit of a disaster right now, thanks to all aforesaid crafting I've been doing. So this looks nice and tidy, and you can't see the mess that I'm looking at. All right, let's start with finished projects as always. This is my smaller of the two. These are my orange sulfur butterfly socks. The yarn is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It's the bedazzled base. I'll see when I bring them in a little bit closer in a sec, you might be able to see the silver sparkle in them. This is from one of Fiber Nymph Dye Works Lepidoptera yarn and fiber clubs. And I've made it a goal this year to work up the remaining yarn that I have from her various fiber clubs. And so I am down to 2 now. 2 down, 2 to go. So this is my usual plain vanilla sock, 64 stitches, 2mm needle, 2x2 rib. Yeah, you can see a bit of sparkle there, I think, as I move the sock around. The yarn did come with 2 coordinating mini skeins. I chose to only use one. The other one was a bright orange, a little bit lighter shade than this one, and I just liked the way it looked with just the brown one. So I stuck with that. Oh, you can really see the sparkle in the heel. You can see I did an eye of partridge heel just to make it interesting. Somehow heels seem to go faster when you're counting things in 4s instead of 2s. And yeah, you can definitely see the sparkle in the toe. So yes, I'm happy to have another club colorway out of the way. And I am in part knitting these as part of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Keep It Simple Make Along this year. Once again, it's kind of a choose your own adventure type of make along. You get to set your own goals, although there are this year 4 quarterly challenges that you can also work into your plans. So one of my goals, as I said, is to knit up my remaining Fiber Nymph Dye Works club colorways. So halfway there. Now for the big finish project. And it is right here on my chair. I have finished my Countdown Cardie by Skenanigans. I knit this from my 2025 Yarn Ink Advent Calendar. It was the plush sock base. There's the Yarn Ink label. The plush sock base, which is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And as you can see, it's all sorts of moody colors. I've got my basket of goodies here. I'm gonna see, I think I might have the inspiration card in here still. Yes, I do. And as you can see, those colors definitely are represented in the fade. So from center back out to the cuff, that's all 24 colors in order. And then I used my day 25 skein to do the neckband, which I think sets them off really well, especially with the lighter colors ending with them at center back. You don't see them on the front. So what can I tell you about this? This is a really unique construction. You begin at the cuff and you work your way up to the shoulder where you do a faux shoulder seam. And then you cast on your body stitches on either side of your sleeve. And you work from the hem all the way over the shoulder, all the way down to the back. And you continue doing that until you place your front stitches on hold when it's wide enough. And then you continue working just on the back stitches. And then you do a 3 needle bind off to finish it off. I substituted a garter rib for the 2x2 rib on both the cuffs and the neckband. You can see it, can't see it quite as well in this light because of the dark color. And then there is a faux rib on the bottom of the sweater, which is achieved by knitting 2 rows of stockinette, alternating with 2 rows of reverse stockinette. So I knit, I think it was, going to grab my pattern here. There you can see how it looks. I have taken some footage of me wearing it. Maybe I'll put that in here right now, and then I'll come back and talk to you a little bit more about it. So I knit the 3rd size, which gives you a finished measurement of 42 inches. And I chose that size because it would make it a similar size and shape to my Jethro cardigan, which is patterned by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts. It's a very similar shape and a very similar size. even though obviously the construction is different. So I used this sweater as a guideline throughout, and I found it very useful. Now, for the most part, other than that garter rib that I showed you for the cuffs and neckband, other than that, I knit it more or less as written, except I did lengthen the shoulder seam. It's actually not a seam, it's a faux seam. You do a slipped stitch along that edge, and as you knit across, you are increasing on either side of those slip stitches in order to give you a sloped shoulder. That's one thing that the Jethro cardigan does not have. It is flat. So as I was working my way, I kept trying on the sleeve and the body, and it just felt like if I stopped the shoulder where they said to, which was kind of like here, I felt like it would just keep slipping off my shoulders as I wore it. It felt like the neckband had to do a lot of work. I'd have to have a really wide neckband in order for it to make up for those stitches. And so I kept the width of the sweater the same. I just carried on with my back and forth or up and down and around stitches for longer before putting the front stitches on hold and completing the back. And I'm happy with that choice. I think it fits a lot better than it would have. As a consequence, I did make the neckband, I think about 3/4 of an inch less wide than called for. What else was I going to say about that? One nice thing is, with the way the pattern is written, I was able to calculate, and I was bang on gauge, which never happens. Both row and stitch gauge. Actually, I knit this holding 2 strands of yarn together as the pattern suggested. It's written for that, or a DK weight. And yeah, I was able to get gauge, which was fantastic because I could calculate how many rows I had to do of each color in order to be able to use all 24 colors in the fade. And I'm super happy with how that worked out. I think it's just such a subtle fade. Even though you're going from dark, dark, dark to light, light, light on either end, I just think it blends beautifully. And I also think that the reverse stocking stitch helps those colors to blend really well. So, if I had to have, I'm only going to put on for a short time again, because it is very warm, as I mentioned. One thing I was glad about it, with blocking, my sleeves got a little bit longer and a little bit looser. I had to have faith in that because I kept trying them on and thinking, oh, they're going to be too tight, they're going to be too tight. But I just kept the faith and just had it in mind that no, that will block out some, and it did. I think it has a nice drape. I like where it lands here. The only, I guess, criticism I have is that even though there are the same number of stitches in the front as there are in the back from shoulder to hem, the way it's constructed, your shoulder seam does not sit up here on your shoulder. And so it's not like it's terrible, but it does bug me a little bit because I'm used to having a shoulder seam that sits on my shoulder. I'm just going to turn it around a little bit here so you can see how low the neckline is there, and that the neckband really does bring it up. So if I'd cast off or put my fronts on if I had put my front stitches on needles or holders when I said, this would be about where my sleeve would be sitting, or not my sleeve, my front. So just think about how much more fabric I would have to do to use it. So that's my only criticism of the pattern, is I do think it benefits from having more sweater before you do a neckband. Other than that, no complaints. I found it clearly written. Oh, except for one more thing. Wait, there's more. When the pattern gave instructions for putting these front stitches on holders and then doing some decreasing some shaping back here on the back, what they referred to as the left front and how I viewed it were opposite. So to me, the instructions for the right and left front were reversed. And I don't know if she did it as looking at the garment or as wearing the garment. I did it as though I was wearing the garment, because to me, this is the left front regardless. Even if when you've got it off and you're looking at it, it's the right front. So anyway, super happy with how this turned out, and I can see myself wearing it a lot next year because it's too warm for this year. But what I really liked about it was that it was a project using Advent skeins. That wasn't a blanket and wasn't a scarf or shawl or cowl. I really liked the idea that it was a sweater, and I feel like I will get more use out of it as a sweater. Now, I don't think it works for every color. I certainly, just looking across the room at my Miss Marple Advent from last year, which was all sorts of pretty pinks and blues and greens, very almost, I don't know if baby colors is quite the right word, but spring-like colors. I wouldn't wear a sweater made out of that yarn, but I just thought this yarn lent itself really well to a fairly neutral sweater, despite the fact that there's 25 different colors in it. Okay, I'm just gonna lean over and put my Jethro over there. It was sitting on my lap and continuing to feel very warm. So I think I need a quick sip of something. No tea today. I have something cold to drink in my, I don't know if you can see what that says with the light reflecting, but it says, "Don't talk to me, I'm counting." A gift from my daughter-in-law. So with the leftovers, when I figured out the yarn I was going to need for the sweater of each color, I did it with having hopefully enough yarn for a pair of socks in mind, and I do have enough. There is one colorway, I think it's color 22, that I might be a wee bit short on. I can just tell from the amount that I've been using of each color so far, but I'll just fudge it. All the colors are so, they blend so well. There's some that are almost identical. So I'm sure if I have to work one more row of one color to make up for it, or one less row of that color and just leave it like that, it's not going to be super noticeable. So here are what I've got done on the socks so far, starting with color 1 and working my way down. I don't know if I mentioned on the sweater, I started with day 24's color on the cuff and worked my way into day 1, because I thought I would want the pink showing more from the front than the warmer goldy colors because they're not as much of what I wear in my color palette. Although I was pleasantly surprised to find that this t-shirt actually blends really well with the sweater. Anyway, so I decided, since I had done a garter rib cuff and neckband on my sweater, that I would do garter rib sock. And I like the way that's working out so far. So I am currently on color 9. So those are fun. The whole project, both the sweater and the socks, because you're going from color to color to color, it's very addictive or addicting. I think you can use those words interchangeably. But you just want to see what the next one looks like and the next one looks like. And then I'm going to do the heels and cuffs I've got lots left over of the day 25 color. So that's what I will use for those. All right, that is it for, well, that's my first work in progress. So I'm transitioning. Another work in progress, oh no, I've got it here. I have finished one of my Tits Up socks by Nancy Wheeler of the Knit Sip Happy, contest podcast. This is a pattern I have been wanting to make for several years now. I am using yarn from Lily and Pine, who I think are not dyeing anymore. This is the Day Lily sock in the Wild Rose colorway, and it came with this pink mini to go with it. Again, I subbed in an Eye of Partridge heel just for fun, but more or less knitting them as written. I know last time I was kind of complaining about my 1x1 ribbed cuff, but I cast on the second sock. There's my fun knitting bag. And I was happier with it this time around. I don't know, it just seems tighter. It's much better. So I think I was just knitting too loosely on the other. But once they're done, no one's gonna know but me. So I have, as you can see, started sock number 2. But I have to admit that when I cast on the Countdown Advent socks, they've been taking up pretty well all of my sock knitting time. But yes, very happy to finally be getting these done, because I've had them on my to-do list for several years now. I had started them in a different yarn, didn't like the way it was working up with that pattern, and then acquired this yarn and had it set aside. I think it was on my goal list last year and maybe even the year before, so feeling good to be getting that done. And I just realized my final work in progress I have to reach over to get. Got a little side table set up here, and it was behind my basket of goodness containing my Advent yarns. So once I finished the orange sulfur socks, I needed to have some other yarn to cast on for a plain pair of socks. And I could have done the next Lepidoptera or Backyard Bird Watching Club colorway, but I just didn't feel like it. I didn't really feel like winding off yarn and finding the beginnings for the stripes and stuff. So I did go into my Fiber Nymph Dye Works stash, and I picked out this Wild Atlantic Pie colorway. And that is on the Bounce base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon. And I had gotten some mini skeins in like a sample pack, or that's not the right word, but grab bag kind of thing. So I This looks very, very pale on the screen. As I'm looking at it, it is a more of a dove gray, silvery gray. I think it might be the Wisp colorway. Anyway, I thought it matched really well. Again, it's deceiving. It's almost identical to one of the colors in here, but which I think is a light blue. But anyway, I thought I would grab that to do heels. So I've done actually quite a bit. Been working my way down. So with the pie colorways, if you're not familiar, they are dyed in such a way that they reflect the digits in the equation, or the number, I guess, pi. And all I remember is it starts 3.14. And so the idea is that stripe 1 is going to be 3 times, or the color length that creates stripe number 1 is 3 times as long as the second one, which represents the number 1. And then this blue section would be 4 times as long as section 2, and so on. And so what it creates is a striping sequence that is never repeated. So the socks turn out kind of random looking, but they do follow a pattern with the colors themselves. So this is, I think, a 5 stripe, and I'm just going to see if I can, oh, I know, there was a little paper that came with it to describe what the colors are. Let me see. So there's Atlantic Steel, which is kind of that denim-y blue, dark grass bronze, wild blue sky, bright grass bronze, and then silver blue sea spray. And so the stripes were inspired by the rugged beauty of the wild Atlantic way along the Western Ireland coast. And Lisa and her husband visited there several years ago, and she did 3 different colorways, if I'm remembering correctly, inspired by their trip. So I do have the German short row heel done there. And so now all I have to do is knit, knit, knit down the foot before I'll be ready for the next one. This is so pretty. I love these colors. Enjoying it. And it's just like I said, I just didn't feel like monkeying around with the scale and trying to divide up the a self-striping colorway to match my socks. And heaven forbid I make mismatching striped socks when I could make identical ones. But I don't mind when it's supposed to be, when they're supposed to be fraternal, I have no problem. But if if they are dyed in such a way that I can match them, then I absolutely have to match them. It's just my personality, and I make no apology for it. All right, spinning. Done a ton of spinning. Last episode, I showed you I had 2 braids of blue-faced Leicester and Tussa silk from Bramble Ridge, which is a fairly local to me dyer. One was called Forest Floor, and one was called Canopy. So I will put a picture in here of how the 2 bobbins looked side by side, and maybe even how the braids looked before they were spun. And immediately I just thought those 2 would complement each other if they were spun together. And so they do. I can attest to that. If you didn't know better, you would think that it was all one colorway. I am absolutely thrilled with how this yarn spun up. Not only the colors, but the size of it, like the thickness. Usually I'm a really fine spinner, and sometimes I want something a little bit thicker, and I managed to achieve it with this. And it feels light and bouncy and beautiful barber poles. I cannot wait to knit with this. I am going to be making the traveler cowl. And if you've been watching, it was either last episode or the episode before, I had finished another spin that I thought was going to be a traveler cowl. And when I started knitting it, I just didn't like, there was too much randomness with the colors, and I wanted a little more striping and a little more, I want to say it's the word homogeneous, and I'm sure there's a word to describe, like hegemony, but I know that's not the right word, but homogeneous, I don't know. I wanted it to be more homogeneous. How's that? And anyway, so immediately I thought, well, this could be a traveler cowl. So what I did was, with the forest floor colorway, I think I split it in, no, I think I might have split it into, spun it end to end. I just kept the lengths more or less as they came off, but the canopy one I split into four lengthwise so that the colors would repeat through it. So there should be some sort of striping that will come from it when I start knitting it up. It feels like it's pretty well dry now. I finished it a couple days ago, and I just go walk by the laundry room where it was hanging, and I'm just like, take it and squish it, and like, oh, it's still damp, it's still damp. But I think can maybe even tonight wind it up and cast it on. I guess it'll depend on how long editing takes for the episode. It's not just the editing, it's the show notes. The show notes take quite a while. It's not my favorite part either. But I do myself appreciate when I can go to someone's show notes and find a pattern on Ravelry or their project page, and so I do make show notes, but that's not the fun part of podcasting. Talking to you is. Anyway, and I don't think you can see in this light, maybe more there. It has a really beautiful sheen, I think, both from the BFL fiber and the silk. So it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And then the only thing is, I must have spun, I didn't weigh them before I spun them. They were both supposed to be 100-gram braids. And I know from the finished yarn weights that I had a little bit more than 200 together. But I must have spun the darker one, the forest floor, a little bit heavier than the canopy, because I had a fair bit of leftover canopy. And so I decided, again, partly in the spirit of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works keep it simple, make along, the challenge for the second quarter is trying new things. And so I tried a new way of plying. So all of this was on the bobbin, but I wanted to two-ply it. So in order to ply it from one end to the other, taking the two ends together and then plying through the length, I did a plying bracelet. I'm going to put a couple pictures here that you can see. You wrap the yarn on your hand in a certain way that you can then, you kind of do it around your middle finger, you ease your finger out of that, and you slip what you've created onto your wrist, and you take the two ends together and then you ply them together off of your wrist. And then when you come to the end, you have basically where the one end meets the other, you find the center of your yarn. So you use up every last bit, and it comes off really easily, no tangling. I had tried years, like early on in my spinning journey, I wound off the remaining singles on my bobbin, or not bobbin winder, my ball winder, and tried to ply them that way, but they got really tangled and twisted, where this way it didn't at all. Anyway, this is just the canopy on its own, and isn't it gorgeous? So I enjoyed this spin so much that I actually went to the Bramble Ridge website to see what else they had, and I ordered some more of this yarn. One is a single skein, and because they didn't have any more than one, and then I also ordered a sweaters quantity, and I will talk in a minute about the sweater I intend to make from it in a minute. But yeah, love this so much. I don't think I had started this spin last time I talked to you. What I did for my next spin is I had some merino nylon from Chaotic Fibers that I had purchased at Fibers West in March. So 75, 25, 23 micron merino nylon. And I wanted to do a sock yarn, and so I divided the braid in 3, and then I think I did it horizontally this time, and then split it. Anyway, I've done 3 bobbins, and I'm going to ply them together to make a sock yarn. Now, some of this is kind of overspun, so I am tempted to ply it, but I'm going to let it rest longer because I really want some of the energy to come out of these singles. Some was great, others parts were really twisty, and I didn't want to change it because it was the same on all of them, so I didn't want to muck too much with my tension, and I am hoping that once they're plied, they'll relax some. So next episode I should have that yarn to show you. And so I only ordered the new Bramble Ridge yarn a couple of days ago, and I want something to spin in the meantime. So that's always the hardest part, is I have my fiber stash up here, and it's so hard to choose. I have so many cool things, but I decided to go for something a little more neutral, just for a change. And I had a while ago from Chaotic Fibers, I had ordered like I want to call it a grab bag. You pay a certain amount and you can get your choice of like 3 skeins the same, but it's a surprise, or I chose 5 different braids. I said skeins, I meant braids of fiber. And so 2 of the braids that I got were an 80-20 Polworth bamboo. And one of them was this blue color. And I have to say, it looked pretty kind of boring I'm not gonna lie, it looked kind of boring when it was all done up, but as I opened it up and fluffed it out, it's actually got tons of different shades of blue in there, and I think it's gonna look really nice when it's all plied together. So I am doing a 3-ply. Again, I thought the colors would blend nicely that way. And I am trying another new technique, which is spinning from the fold. And so normally, and I know a lot of you aren't spinners, so I don't want to get too technical. Normally, you would spin from here. You would, as you are spinning, you would be pulling your fibers from the end like this, and they would come out, and they'd be twisting as you're spinning. But I looked up the best way to spin. I just put into Google the best way to spin merino or Polworth bamboo, and what it spit back out is to do it from the fold. And as I read more about it, it's because like the bamboo is quite a slippery fiber, and the staple lengths are different. Staple length is how long the locks are from the sheep. So some yarns are not that long, and some are longer, and some are silkier, some are more rough and will hold together. But with the bamboo, it's quite long and slippery, and along with the Polworth, they recommended from the fold. And what you do is you just break off I have to do it anyway, so you break off a length of fiber, like that. And then you put it over your finger like that, and then you spin from here. You pull out a little bit to attach to the fiber that's already on your spinning wheel, and then as you draft, it's coming out on the fold, and it just will pick up more and more across here. And so you're not trying to bring in an end and have the end of it attached to what you're spinning. It's kind of folded up, and it's more grabby. And I will say that the first bit that I spun like this, I hated it. I did not enjoy it at all, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll just scrap this and try it another time. And then it's like, no, give it a chance. Because then I did try and spin it just off the end like I normally do, and it wasn't doing a good job. It was slippery, and it was kept breaking away, and but no, try it and try it. And so now I think this is about my fifth length, and definitely as I'm doing it more, it's becoming easier and more consistent. So it's not so bad after all. It's a good thing to try new things. I am trying to grow as a spinner. I've tried tons of things as a knitter, and there's not a lot left that I haven't done, I would say, as far as techniques. But spinning, at being quite a new spinner, there's still tons for me to learn. So I am trying to learn that. And in that vein, that was a good segue. I have an acquisition, which I just have to grab here. It's underneath a couple things. I'm trying to prevent stuff from falling. It's always a challenge recording with all sorts of goodies in front of me. I bought this book called Yarn-i-tec-ture. It's by Jillian Moreno, who is a really well-known spinner. And I saw this recommended on another podcast and thought, yeah, you know, I need a good reference book. I do go and look on the internet and YouTube often for answers to my questions, but it's a good, it's not so much an introduction into how to spin so much as how different fibers spin and how you can work with different fibers, not only how to spin them, but also how to put them together or how to play with color. And that was especially one thing I found really interesting, is just the whole section on color. But it is also a great reference for things like this one's like how to finish your yarn. So once you've spun it, do you soak it? Do you steam it? Do you snap it? Do you, I think it's called whacking, not whacking, where you literally will take your loop of yarn like that and like whack against like a wall or a door or a rock or a fence, whatever, and it folds the fabrics and helps align them. So there's lots of different ways. This is an illustration of several different types of yarn and all the way they finished them all. There's samples that they've got 4 unfinished and different breeds, and then what they look like after they've done each of those particular techniques to it, and also how they knit up. So you can choose your yarns and projects wisely, and just, yeah, the fun that you can have with playing with colors and different fiber types, using them together. And that's just something that, since I've started spinning more, I'm definitely putting more thought into how do I want to spin this braid and what do I want to do with it when it's done. So one project that really caught my eye in this book is this Tetris pullover by Julia Farwell Clay. So that's the front of it, and there's the back. And I thought that was a really fun use of hand spun yarn, and so that is the pattern that I am planning to make with the new Bramble Ridge yarn that I have ordered. And it's not this, it's a different colorway than this. For one, they didn't have this anymore. They had this one, but only 3 braids. And I love these, but I wanted something different, different for a sweater. Anyway, it's a colorway called Oil Slick. Let's see if I can find it. Got my iPad here. If it doesn't take me too long, I'll find the thing, and I can hear, I should turn it down. I can hear my notifications going. My younger sister's on holidays, driving holiday, and she keeps updating us on different things, where they are and what they're seeing, and different pictures and all sorts of fun things like that. Obviously, I'll have this fiber to show you in real life next time I chat with you. If it's not all spun up by then, that is. Sorry, I hadn't really planned. There it is. Whoops. So, looking forward to receiving that and playing with that. It's exciting to make your own yarn and to just, I mean, I know I've done some things with my hand spun already, but it's so gratifying to not just spin the yarn, but then to turn it into something usable, wearable. Speaking of, I'm just gonna go grab something. It's over on my sewing desk. 1 second. I am trying to figure out what knitting project to cast on next. Now that I have finished a sweater, I really want to knit another sweater. One contender is this No Tails by Versace Knits. I had seen this knit up in as a sample at Beehive Wool Shop in Victoria, and I purchased 3 skeins. They had it in like a plummy color, and I purchased 3 skeins of this Fleece Artist BFL 2/8, which is a there's 546 yards in 125 grams, and it is I believe it's 100%, yeah, 100% blue-faced Leicester. And I don't know if I wrote down the color name. Oh, it's Raven. So it looks black, but if you catch it in the light, it's also blue. And I just thought that would be a really, really good basic sweater to have. Would look great with blue jeans. Now, here, I don't know if you can see the blue there, the top. I can see it at times in my light, but it's very subtle. Having said that, when I look at them, oh yeah, there you can definitely see it on that one. Although it's not as light as it's appearing on the screen, you can definitely see the blue there. Now, as I look at these 3 skeins, they are different. And so I'm going to have to blend them, which means knitting. I will do knit with all 3 at once so that they will blend really evenly. So that's kind of a pain. So that's partly preventing me from going forward with this, because I know I'm going to have to, you know, manage 3 skeins of yarn at a time. The other thing, I should have grabbed these before, but I didn't. I have 3 balls. It's a little bit less bright than what's showing up there. It's kind of it's a little bit deeper than what's showing. This is a 100% cotton, butterfly cotton. It's a mercerized cotton it's Super 10, Butterfly Super 10. I have had this for literally now probably 2 decades, because I bought it when I used to work at the yarn shop. And I want to make a summer top. This is a more likely cast on. Now, again, with the iPad, what did I do with it? Oh. I should have been more prepared. I forgot to do this part of my show notes. There is a new pattern. Oh, sorry, I think I jiggled. There's a new pattern by Rebecca Clow, which came out fairly recently, and I have not knit any of her patterns, although I know she's very popular. And there's a pattern called Nosti or Nosti. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can tell with the reflection, but it's a lace. There's like lace detail. There you go. And I thought that would be really cute for spring and summer with a little tank underneath. So that is probably more likely to get cast on than no tails, but I really, really want to make this. I've had this for a few years now, and I would love to do that sweater. It just looks, to me, really comfy and very classic kind of style, and a great addition to my wardrobe. So those are what I'm pondering. So for sure, I'm going to cast on the Traveler cowl, and then more than likely Nosti or Nosti, however you say it. All right, life. On the positive side, we had 2 weekends up at the cabin, not this past weekend, but the 2 prior weekends. So we went up there the first weekend with my oldest sister and her husband, we actually stayed in town at my mom's place rather than at the cabins because we weren't sure if we were going to get water going or not. So we met up there with one of my cousin's sons and his wife. So I guess it's my first cousin once removed, who I hadn't seen for 10 years since their wedding. I had taken my mom back to their wedding in Alberta 10 years ago. And so he wanted to sort of be involved. He and his wife came out for a 2-week holiday, but they also timed it in part so that they could be involved in opening up camp for this season. It's not that it's difficult, but there's just different steps to follow, and he wanted to observe. So long story short, we did get water flowing from the spring into our holding tank the first day. And as we left that day to go stay in town, our hope was that the next morning we would be able to have the tank full, turn on the pump, get water into all the cabins. And so we got there, water was overflowing from the tank. It just goes back into the creek. It's a really great system. Nothing gets wasted. But yeah, we came, yep, there's overflow, yes. So we went to turn on the pump system, and it turned on, and the pressure built. And we thought, yes, okay, we were gonna do their cabin first because they were gonna be staying there for a couple weeks and we weren't coming up again till the next weekend. So it's like, okay, let's go get your water going in your cabin. And then all of a sudden the pressure just went like this. And Jason noticed water shooting out at high velocity, small stream, but high velocity out of the pressure tank that's attached to the pump. So we went from on a high to on a low. By that time, my one of my cousins had arrived. It's my second cousin's nephew, or uncle, I should say. He had arrived, and so it was just, anyway, he and Jason and Karen and Doug, my brother-in-law, ended up having to drive about an hour north to get a new pressure tank for the pump, and then someone in town that my mom knows was able to come out the next day and install it. So by that, no, they were coming, sorry, not the next day, but the day after. So we did not have water by the time we left that weekend, but it did get going on the Monday morning, I think it was, or the Sunday. I guess it was Sunday. Yeah, yes, that's right, because we were leaving the next day. He came out on a Sunday and fixed it. So that my second cousin, or first cousin once removed, I've done genealogy, so I get kind of technical. Anyway, they had water for the duration of their stay. So yay, that's always the biggest question mark. And we're working on improvements to what we have set up in the spring, and then we had trouble with the pump last year and it broke. So we had just replaced the pump last year. Now the new pump tank. So I'm probably talking way too much about stuff you don't really care about. Anyway, the water got going. Yahoo. So we went up again the following weekend, which was our Victoria Day long weekend. We went up with our son Matt and his wife Stephanie. So they had Friday off, as did we, so we all headed up on Thursday evening. It was funny because we left, I think, kind of around the same time. And we had pulled over at a rest area to use the facilities and have a sandwich for our dinner, and they went by and I got this text. Was that you at the rest area? I was like, yes. So we kind of caught up to them again as we headed to the cabin. So had a great weekend with them, did some other jobs, but a lot of the jobs we had done the prior weekend to get ready for opening. So it was more relaxing than our Victoria Day weekends often are, because that's often when we do open things up for the season, and there's lots to do. So yeah, we'd have kind of already done a lot of those jobs. So had a very nice time. Now, we are going up again mid-June. My sister from Toronto is coming out, and we're all my sisters are, and mostly of this, well, all my sisters and their spouses are coming up, going up to the cabin for at least part of the time. One brother-in-law can only come up for overnight, and he has a commitment on the weekend. But and my sister's husband is supposed to come out with her, but their cats have had some health issues, one in particular, and so there's a chance that her husband will stay home to watch the cats while she makes the trip out, but we're really hoping he can come too. Anyway, that's something to look forward to, kind of a reunion of all the sisters and husbands and my mom, and have a weekend together. Okay, bad stuff. So just a few weeks ago, my sister Allison had messaged me and let me know that one of our friends had cancer. And Allison had messaged his wife for her birthday. She's on Facebook, and I have a Facebook account, but I don't really ever go on it. So she had sent her a birthday message, and then she had written back, did you know that her husband had cancer, and he was diagnosed early March. He had gone through chemo and radiation and was about to start immunotherapy. So I messaged this friend also and said, you know, when he's feeling better, we'll have to get together. And Allison and I had talked about the 6 of us getting together. And then he passed away, like within a couple of weeks of that, maybe not even 2 weeks of that conversation. So just very shocking, because we'd hardly even absorbed that he was sick, and he was gone. And so we attended his celebration of life this past weekend, and yeah, just way too young. He had just turned 56 or 66. Just retired last year. They bought a new place. I just really feel for them. They have 2 daughters who went to school with our youngest 2, our 2 sons, and grandchildren, and yeah, just very tragic. And then if that's not enough, we also just around the same time learned that Cameron's older brother, the ones that we go see in Victoria, he also has cancer, and stage 4 lung cancer. And so he'd been complaining of a pain kind of in his chest, his side here, for a while. And when we were over for Cameron's mom's interment, he had an X-ray an appointment lined up, I think, to have X-rays done or something like that, like soon after. And so we knew that was all happening, and I guess they found a shadow on his lung, and long and short, it's he has a tumor that's about the quarter of the size of his lung, and it has spread So it's inoperable. All they can do is treat it again with chemo, radiation, and immunotherapy. And that begins June 3rd. And somehow it's affecting one of his vocal cords. So he can't speak really loudly like normal. He's kind of like, sounds like when you have a sore throat and trying to get your words out. So anyway, we are heading over to Victoria Friday to go spend the weekend and help them out with some things because he's tired and not able to look after his yard and do his outdoor jobs like he normally can. So Cameron's gonna pressure wash his driveway and do whatever other things they might need doing. So cancer sucks. And it's his third bout with cancer. He's beat prostate cancer, and when he was a child, had a gland removed that had cancer in it, but lives quite a healthy lifestyle and is active and hasn't smoked in decades. So yeah, really tough lately with those two things going on kind of simultaneously. And with Dave, our friend, passing so quickly, we are just hoping that Trevor can, there's no cure, we know that, but we're hoping that he could at least, beat it for a while. So yeah, that's been tough. On a lighter note, something good. How many times have you watched me record and have my tea go cold while I'm recording, and I'll take a sip and go, it's kind of lukewarm, or that's gone cold, I'm gonna go warm it up. And a number of years ago, somebody suggested that I get a mug warmer, which I never did, and then I don't know what made me think of it recently, but I got a cup warmer to sit beside my chair in here in the craft room. Oh look, you can see my pictures and spinning wheel and all sorts of things. Anyway, I have an electric cup warmer and it works and it's awesome. So yeah, I have that. I didn't eat it today because I was drinking something cold, but that is something good. I've only had it for a few days, but it works and I love it. So that's my something good. Okay, that is it for this week. I am not sure when I'll record again, hopefully in a couple of weeks. And hopefully by then I will have, I will hopefully have my new fiber, and maybe I will have started spinning it. And other than that, obviously I hope to have made some progress on some of my works in progress, and maybe started something new. So take care, everyone. I appreciate you so much being here, and all of your kind comments. I look forward to reading each time I put up a video. Welcome to any new viewers. I know there's been a few recently, so thanks for checking things out. And I never remember to say, if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to be notified, click the notification on YouTube. And show notes. There's always show notes below the video, and I link everything I talk about to Ravelry for patterns and projects, and outside sources for things like, dyers where I got my fiber or stuff like that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.